Jim and Terry Show, still podcasting from the basement in Bob Cajun, our basement in Bob Cajun, B&B.
B&B, oh, I love it.
Okay, I wonder if we can rebrand ourselves. Two guys with a coffee. I'm your host, Terry. And beside me is my other host.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jim. Well, we've done a lot of stuff today.
We've done a lot of
changes.
Yeah, take it away. Lead off and something.
Well, it was funny. Terry and I, you think we talk a lot, but we don't stop in between these things.
We start from the moment you open the front door.
And we were just talking about the various shows we recorded, and I said, isn't it funny how we don't talk about SpaceX anymore? And the reason is I think Elon Musk put such a sour taste in our mouths concerning his cruelty in DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency.
You're on fire, my friend. Look at you pulling these acronyms out of your
I don't really hunt it down anymore. Sometimes I do, and I will. Like, I do know that they are advancing forward. I think they're going to have a 35 engine rocket, and they're also going to, I think, put more engines in the ship itself to get it into space more. But other than that, I haven't been spending all that much time, and I'm thinking about the companies that developed over SpaceX that might be suffering and not saying it because of the bad taste that Musk and Trump has put in their mouths.
Now, when you're the CEO of a company and you are tarnishing the brand with your nonsense posts on the social media platform that you spent billions buying, that you drove the market value into the sewer, and that's your CEO of Tesla. Let's talk about Tesla. What's the big trend on Tesla? Well, then I want to get back. I'm going to say this out loud so you remind me to come back to it, about sizes.
Yeah.
Sizes, because we're going to talk about that a little bit.
Well, Tesla is a victim itself now of Trump. But Trump, we've talked on an earlier podcast about how Trump's probably just going to make exceptions to the rules for people like Tesla. But Tesla, the sales have dropped just because of, quite frankly, Elon Musk and his absolutely bizarre handling of DOGE, where he took a chainsaw and talked about cutting jobs. Now, you got to understand, these jobs they're cutting is because the people, what are they labeled as? The reason they're losing their job? But the reason they're losing their job? Incompetence. And of course, they can't get another job. And they lose all kinds of pension, all kinds of everything. And he's laughing with a chainsaw in his hand as he's ruining lives. And they will cut your social service. They're going to cut all of that because they really don't have any compassion.
Project 2025, there is a website. I can put the link in the description on. You can track the progress of how much of the thing that Trump never knew about during his run-up to the election.
Never knew. It's funny, they're 50% accomplished.
No, I never heard of that. Yeah. What is that? And then you find out that the authors are in his cabinet. The authors are advising him. The authors are in charge of the destruction of America. You wanted this. You brought it on yourself. I don't know why I interjected all that stuff.
Well, what we were doing is just the way things can change and a change of mind, where I would look at everything Tesla, everything SpaceX.
Yes.
But now I have to stomach it, where before it was a joy, now it isn't.
What has given us this bitter aftertaste?
Well,
is
because
it DOGE? Is it the chainsaw image?
It is the chainsaw image. It is the cruelty.
Intentional cruelty.
And laughing about it that gets me to say, okay, I'm still interested in space exploration. I really am.
Yeah.
But I'm having a rough time watching some of the shows, and that makes me feel a little guilty because I like the guys putting the shows on.
Yes.
They've, Felix moved all the way from Germany.
Felix Schlang, Marcus Haus.
Yeah. These guys have quit jobs and everything else. They hired
production crews,
dozens of people,
spent tons of money on camera and recording.
On all of this stuff, and then all of a sudden I'm wondering if their marks are starting to go down. Because of, again,
that's actually a good
something
point.
out of their control.
That's a good point.
And so I like the idea that most of those people don't mention anything about politics whatsoever. They just talk about advancements in space.
I had a former colleague visit. He got a job promotion within the system that I was in, and he shared his story. He said, as he was leaving, he said, "Well, you've sort of convinced me to start looking at EVs because I was always talking about Teslas." And he said, "I think my son, who's now getting his learner's permit, wants to get a Tesla." And I said, this was 2 years ago. I said, "I'm not sure about Tesla." I said, "There are lots of other alternatives to Tesla as a brand. If you're looking for EVs, there's lots of stuff on the market now." The good thing Musk did was create the EV market.
Mm-hmm.
But now the brand is suffering.
And it's I think it's probably still a fabulous car. Probably.
Have you seen the Cybertrucks?
Well,
they're taking a licking on the.
We have like 3 in
memes.
Pefferlaw.
Is that right?
Yeah.
They're the most god-awful looking.
Yeah, but it's supposed to be the moon truck, right? Isn't it supposed to be the one that's going to be driving around on the moon?
So they say.
Well, yeah. I mean, who knows? Toyota built one years ago to go to the moon.
Yes.
Yeah, and so we'll have to see what happens. It's just that.
So Musk himself has created a brand demise for himself. Regardless of tariffs, regardless of anything else, it's Musk himself who's driven his brand into the ground.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's overconfidence. Just because you're a genius in one area, don't make you a genius in everything. Standing up with a chainsaw, laughing about cutting people's lives apart, is probably not the smartest thing to do.
There is no empathy, zero empathy.
And it's like Trump's probably stupid saying we're going to make the jets inferior that you buy, inferior to our model of it, because you may not be our friends. Well, geez, you said that out loud, and he did. So, and as you said at that black tie, oh, look at all the guys. You made what? How many? 7 million. You made what? 70 million. And you made this. Basically saying what we have here is inside trading.
Yes.
You just said it.
I did it all for you guys. You owe me.
Yeah, and you owe me. Yeah, I did it for you. And you should be in jail.
Yeah, well, they call it market manipulation. That's one of the things.
It is market manipulation. And he's getting away with it. And this is what drives me right around the bend.
This is the lack of accountability that everybody's looking away from America, because America used to be known for one thing: due process. Everybody had their day in court.
Yeah.
Nobody could do anything to you. They can't apprehend you without following due process. And now they just snatch you. Snatch and grab.
Just change things and pick up the pieces. They just don't care. Yeah. They believe their country is that powerful, and it may be. The most powerful, richest country in the entire world. With that, you would think people would use compassion and kindness.
Yeah.
But
Lead by
it turned
example.
Around to be more like a Rome, which fell, and Greece, which fell, and a lot of empires have fallen. And so I would warn, that Babylon fell, all of the Ming Dynasty and all these things fall. Yeah. So where you want to keep things going is look after all the citizens within your borders.
Yes.
And so you got to be a little bit socialistic, a little bit, not totally. But you got to remember them. You don't just turn on them. It reminds me of the king in David's day, where there was one of the kings and his advisors. It was the son. The father died, and the son took the throne. And his advisors said, "No, double their bloody taxes, double the tax." Well, it ended up bringing the whole nation down, and the king died, because of greed, just flat out greed, and listening to bad advice. And if you're getting your advice from people who are heartless, who don't have a heart, and I will point out again, you cannot serve God and money. That's just me. So the richer you are, the more I wonder. That's all. I just wonder.
So we're talking, and we're just wrapping it up in the last few seconds, about the lack of interest on both our parts for SpaceX.
Yeah.
It has gone down the toilet as far as it's tainted. I have a bad taste in my mouth now whenever I think of them. And that's just one thing. But SpaceX has military contracts. It's got Starlink.
Yeah.
They can turn on and off reconnaissance, including the F-35.
Yes.
Be careful what wagon you hitch your oxen to.
We're bumper to bumper in the sky. Yeah.
Bumper to bumper.
Driving along in my car.
Jim and Terry Show, signing off to those mellow tones. Mellow tone.